Alright, so I did this a bunch of times, but I think this time it'll actually work. Um, I'm trying to put this on full screen. Allow. So, for some reason, the game doesn't have sound. It had sound the first time I played it, but right now it doesn't. So, I don't know. Um, but yeah. I already talked a lot about the emulation of this game, how it's probably not emulated. I talked about the speed differences. I talked about the hitbox differences. I talked about everything compared. I compared this game to the plug and play version. I did all of that like 3 times already. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So you're just not going to hear that, and you're just going to have to deal with that. But I will rant about how this game that we're in right now, that we're living in, Planet Earth, that this probably is just a video game, right? It probably is, right? Like, I think that I think the more horrible shit you go through, the higher you elevate yourself, and that's why your body always shakes. Like anytime you get a heartbreaking revelation, like someone cheated on you, or somebody killed your best friend, or your mom died, or whatever it is, you always have the same symptoms. You know, you shake, your heart rate speeds up, it sinks in your chest, your stomach's turning, you feel nauseous. It's always the same things. You get really anxious, you know? That to me is like you elevating to a higher level because you just racked up a whole shitload of points by going through something traumatic, you know? Like it pays off with points. That's what I believe. And I think that you can lose points too by being an asshole. Like if you have an opportunity to hurt somebody and it's really easy to do it, like if you cheat on somebody, because that's easy to do. Or if you, I don't know, kill someone's pet frog or something, because that's easy to do. If you do something to hurt somebody, but it gains for yourself, I think you lose points. Because that is how it would work, right? Otherwise, you'd have people saying, like, oh, I'm gaining them points, so it's okay. Because the person you're hurting is definitely gaining points because it's a traumatic experience. But you should lose points because you can't use that as an excuse to help people. Like, oh, I'm hurting them, therefore I'm helping them because I'm getting them more points. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that there's different modes. Like, there's easy mode, there's medium mode, and there's hard mode, and there's probably expert mode and Zen mode too. You're going to see that happen a lot in this play because they always just do that. That barely ever really happens in the plug and play version except for on the second level. But yeah. So you'll see some of that. But I think a lot of people come into this Earth on easy mode, and there's also a lot of people that come in on hard mode too. That jump sucks, by the way. That's how I can tell this probably isn't emulated, unless they just, those pillars rendered too low, so they went in and edited the jump to make it easier to get under here. That might have been what they did, but I'm not sure. They could have just fixed the rendering of the fucking pole or whatever. These look like bells, not balloons. Are you fucking kidding? I'm just gonna die. I'm just fucking angry. Fuck you. Fuck off, dude. Anyways, I think that the more frustration and paranoia and anxiety and depression and sadness and heartbreak that you go through and tragedy and sickness, I think that all of that adds up to just a higher consciousness, you know, like higher awareness. And I think that you get a higher energy from it and you become a higher energy. And I think that energy has laws. I think that a higher energy disobeys lesser energies and how there's different types of energies. And I think that, you know, lesser energy obeys bigger energy, you know. and how strong energy pushes things away and loving energy brings things into it, you know. That's what I believe. And I think that when you went through all the modes, expert mode, like you start off on easy mode, then you go to medium, and then you go to fucking, hard mode and then expert mode. I think after that, you just go to Zen mode. And basically, you just get to come back and help people. And you get to have a lot of fun because you earned it, And you're going to make other people jealous, but them being jealous will earn them more points anyway. Because it's something hard that they're going through, Jealousy is another negative emotion that we deal with. I really do believe this stuff that I'm saying. Steve-O from Jackass, he put it in a pretty cool perspective. He said that, we have barriers, and that people from other dimensions can talk to us if we break those barriers down with drugs and stuff. Because if you do LSD or shrooms or DMT or masculine, you'll start to see how fake this world really is. How it's really not as real as you thought it was. And if you do like a binge of cocaine or even alcohol or meth, you will start to see that this world is pretty phony. It's not really that real. There's nothing stopping it from being fake, And that's when you start to hear voices and you start to hallucinate. And I think that's just people from other dimensions, higher and lower, trying to talk to us. And I think that's where the idea of hell comes from, too. It's just a lower dimension that people who did not obey the laws of the game ended up. Maybe they were cheaters or whatever. And I think there's a level in this video game that we live in to the point where you are allowed to use cheats. And I think that's Zen mode. Because at that point, you earned it, I think easy mode would be like, nice, loving family. You're kind of rich. You're pretty privileged. You live in a nice society. You never really have a lot of troubles in your life. And I think medium mode would be like me. You have some troubles and you have some heartbreak. Maybe a little bit of health problems or whatever. I think hard mode would be like you live in poverty, you have a lot of health problems, you get bullied, you just have a lot of social issues and economic issues and mental issues. And I think expert mode would be like mind control, having to break out, being abused ritually, not having a real life, having no control of your life. I think that's what that would be, And I think that once you get through all those modes, you can do Zen mode. I look at people like Elvis Presley, and you look at, I really don't have another example besides Elvis Presley, but because it's just such an anomaly. But you look at people like him, he came here. I wouldn't say he was on Zen mode, because Elvis went through some shit, but I don't know. He just seemed to have this presence that no one else really had. And obviously there's been other people like that in history, but there's usually only one in a bunch, Elvis was the only person alive like that at that time, There was plenty of really crazy people doing a lot of crazier things than he was, but nobody talked about them. It was just like he had a thing about him, Like he just had a presence that people just did not have. And I think that you build your presence up and you build up your energy and your aura the more difficult things you go through. That's why they say rape victims have a very strong, powerful, big aura, which can be a bad thing. If you want to get into real deep stuff, you want to talk about like the devil, Satan, Lucifer, you want to talk about that. That is like the elevator. He puts you through pain to elevate you, That's what I think. But I don't know. And of course, I don't wish being cheated on anyone. I don't wish drug problems on anyone. But in my mind, like being raped or having to recover from meth or heroin or having to, lose a child, all of those really, really horrible, awful things, I think that that just racks up just a supreme amount of points. And I think that you end up being a master of this world. I personally believe that. I believe that there is a